If you've been following Dubai real estate recently, you've probably heard the word oversupply thrown around quite a bit. Some people are worried, some are skeptical, and honestly, I get why there's this confusion. Hi, I'm Zoheb Hamirani, founder of Original Bulanbay Properties. Today, we're going to look at oversupply from 3 different angles, and by the end of this video, you might be surprised by what the data actually tells us. Let's start with the basics. Simply put, oversupply happens when there are more properties available than there are people wanting to buy or rent them. Like having too many chairs at a party. If you've got 100 chairs but only 70 guests, you've got an oversupply of chairs. In real estate terms, this typically leads to 3 things. Price drop, property sits empty longer, and developers slow down their construction. It's basic supply and demand economics. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Oversupply is not like flipping a switch. The real estate market is complex, and we need to look at it from multiple perspectives to understand what's really happening. Some people look at the number of new projects being announced and immediately think oversupply. But that's like looking at one piece of a puzzle and trying to guess the whole picture. We need to dig deeper. This brings me to my second point. Location matters a lot. Dubai isn't just one big homogeneous market. What's happening in downtown Dubai is completely different from what's happening in Dubai South, which is different from what's happening in Dubai Hills or JVC. Let me give you some real examples. In areas like Business Bay, we've seen a significant increase in supply over the past few years. New towers are completing regularly, and yes, there's definitely more choice for buyers and renters. But Business Bay also has incredible connectivity. It's close to downtown, and it attracts a specific demographic of professionals and investors. Compare that to newer areas like Dubai South or even parts of Dubai Hills Estate. These areas are still developing their infrastructure, their community feel, and their amenities. The supply might look high on paper, but the demand patterns are completely different. Then you have premium areas like Palm Jumeirah or Emirates Hills, where supply is naturally limited by geography and zoning. You can't just build another Palm Jumeirah, right? The key insight here is that Dubai's real estate market isn't one market, but dozens of micro markets, each with its own supply and demand dynamics. When we talk about oversupply, we need to ask, oversupply where exactly? Now let's zoom out even further and look at the bigger picture. The entire UAE. This is where things get really interesting. While we're focusing on Dubai, we can't ignore what's happening in Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Ajman, and the other Emirates. Abu Dhabi, for instance, has been on its own development trajectory. They've got massive projects like Yas Island expansion, Saadiyat Island, and the new Capital District developments. Sharjah has been positioning itself as a more affordable alternative to Dubai, with significant residential development. But here's what most people miss. These aren't competing markets in the way you might think. Each emirate is developing its own identity and attracting different types of residents and investors. Dubai remains the commercial tourism hub. Abu Dhabi is the governmental and cultural center. Sharjah is becoming the family-friendly, affordable option. They're not just competing with each other, they're actually complementing each other in many ways. When we look at the UAE as a whole, we're seeing a coordinated effort to diversify the economy and attract different types of residents, from young professionals to families to retirees. Each emirate is building the infrastructure and housing to support its specific role in the larger vision. And this brings me to the most important part of today's discussion. What the actual data tells us. Everyone is talking about all these new projects launching, and yes, there are a lot of them. But here's what's not being talked about enough. Dubai's population growth projections. According to the Dubai Statistics Center and various governments' reports, Dubai's population is expected to grow significantly over the next decade. We're talking about potentially reaching 5.8 million people by 2040. There's a massive increase from where we are today. Now, let's do some simple math. If you look at the number of residential units expected to be delivered in the next 3 to 5 years and compare that to the projected population growth, taking into account average household sizes, income levels, and housing preferences, the picture changes completely. We're not looking at oversupply. We might actually be looking at an undersupply, especially in certain price segments and locations. Think about it. Dubai is positioning itself as a global hub for remote work, a winter destination for Europeans, a business center for Africa and Asia, and a lifestyle destination for the region. All of these initiatives bring people, and people need places to live. The government's visa reforms, the golden visa for example, or the retirement visa. These aren't just pieces of paper. They represent real people who need real homes. So, what does this mean for you, whether you're an investor, a home buyer, or just someone trying to understand the market? First, don't panic about oversupply headlines. Look at the specific locations you are interested in. Research the area's development plans, infrastructure projects, and demographic trends. Second, consider the long-term vision. Dubai isn't just building for today's population, it's building for tomorrow's. The question isn't whether there will be enough buyers and renters, it's whether there will be enough quality options in the right location. Thirdly, remember that Dubai has a track record for managing its growth effectively. The government has sophisticated planning mechanisms, and they're not just approving projects randomly. There's a strategy behind the development. To conclude, look, I'm not saying that there won't be some areas or some price segments that see temporary oversupply. That's normal in any growing market. But the narrative that Dubai is heading for a massive oversupply crisis, the data just doesn't support. What I see is a market that's maturing, diversifying, and preparing for significant long-term growth. Yes, there will be more choices for buyers and renters. Yes, some areas will see more competition, but in the context of Dubai's growth trajectory and the UAE's broader vision, we're likely looking at a healthy rebalancing rather than a crisis. The key is to stay informed, look beyond the headlines, and make decisions based on comprehensive analysis rather than fear of speculation. If you found this analysis helpful, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for a more in-depth Dubai real estate insight. And if you're looking for personalized advice on Dubai property investments, send me an email at zoheb@obnbproperties.com, and I'll see you in the next video.